Hi, my name is Emily Jade. I'm with Trinity Yoga Faith, and I'm going to lead you through a seated practice that is inspired by step 1 of the AA program, which is we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable. So this step can be for anyone. You could apply it to any number of things. So keep that in mind. This is an inclusive type of practice, but it will all be seated, and there's really only going to be 5 body positions that I'll lead you through very slowly, all of them about 4 minutes probably a piece that you'll be in. And the design of it is so that you kind of feel this teachable, sort of mature spirit of stillness, and that helps to put yourself in a straight position in your spine and just be receptive. So I have pillows because that can help support the comfort of the body positions. So feel free to grab some pillows, blankets to give yourself a good body experience. I'm going to just sit on one. So if you have one, feel free to sit on one and we'll get started. Start from the bottom up. So imagine your bones on the bottom of your hips, finding a place left, right, left, right, both kind of go down. Relaxing the knee joints away from each other. Imagine them falling. You could also put pillows underneath them if they lift a lot. And then imagine lifting your chest up. And then the top of your head reaching up. So again, if this is too much strain or too much work for the low back, just put pillows in all sorts of places to create lift so that your hips are higher if possible than your knees. And then close your eyes and just observe your thoughts and your current state. And then starting with a reflective question, which is list off, if you can, some things that you believe you yourself to be powerless over. So a way to categorize this is just, what are some people, places, or things that I don't have power or control over, but I might have a little bit of a tendency to exert sort of a sense or a belief or a delusion, if you will, of power over them. And just let the names of the people, places, and things come to you. What am I powerless over? And while the people, places, and things come to the front of your consciousness, can you deepen your breathing and just listen? You're just seeing what you believe to be powerless over. The first step is honesty, or being aware of what is. So from here, we'll just move into some gentle neck movements. And this can be a neck circle, like a half neck circle or a full neck circle, or maybe just dropping the head side to side. What neck movements might feel good here? And then bringing your head back to a state where it feels like it's right above your shoulder girdle, and then have some lift in the heart. And then just reach the hands away from you. And then if possible, all the way up and over the head, reaching towards the ceiling, interlacing the hands, and just stretch. Notice the length of your left side body. Maybe you even reach away from the center. And then notice the length of your right side body. Maybe you reach away from center. And then just kind of rock back and forth. So you can keep reaching above the head with an interlaced hand grip, or maybe you interlace elbows or take your hand to the top of your head, make some choice with hand position, and then just drop side to side, stretching through the waist. Sometimes it's hard to know what we're hanging on to, but the feeling of hanging on or gripping, or like this feeling of hyper control, is usually felt in my experience, in 3 different main places. The most obvious one is the hands. And in my case, my hands tighten a little bit, or I feel tension in them. So shaking them out or moving them about helps me release my sense of being overly powerful or controlling. The second place is the jaw. In a way to release that is simply to open and close the jaw, or smile, or laugh. And the third place that is obvious to my experience is the belly, our sense of power. So let's just go release the hands over the head and just take your hands to your belly, our power center. And if we feel like we need to exert our power over something, a lot of times that can be experienced in the center of the body. So if you're desiring to release power or control, but you don't quite know how, ask the body how the hands are. You could shake them out. Ask your face how the jaw is. You could loosen it. And ask your body how your belly is, how your gut is. And you can breathe. And you can touch. And you can twist, which can be very helpful to create some change at the more subtle energetic level. So we'll do that now. I'm going to reach my hands up just to create a longer spine, and then we are going to twist. So placing one hand down on the inner knee and one hand back behind you. We want to lift a little bit here and perhaps look past the back shoulder. Would you take a few rounds of breath here and see what happens for you? So every stretch is an opportunity to see what is being given to you for free. Pay attention. Let's take one more round of breath. And then on our next inhale, we'll reach our arms up and away, full body stretch. And then rotate towards the opposite side of the body. One hand rests on the inner knee, other hand behind you in like a spider hand position. You can press a little into the finger pads. Lift a bit higher and rotate your head away from the front of the room and towards the back shoulder. What is being given to you here? And now we're going to flow, just a continual movement from side to side, taking it at our own pace, rotating and coming back to center in more of a fluid, continual way. And as you do this, I'll open it up to prayer. And I want to ask God into this room, into this place, and say, there are things that you know that we want to hang on to grip, to exert power over. Would you bring those to the front of our consciousness now, so that we can admit to you that they aren't ours to manage? Help us be thorough and honest, so that we can live light, and that we can give you what brings us into a state of delusion of control. We want to remember you are the one who has all the power. And you share it with us as needed. So we're going to reach our hands all the way up, trusting God to take care of us as appropriate for us, and then taking the hands to touch one another at the heart center. Can we trust? Moving into our second body position now, which is seated staff position. So you can keep sitting on your pillow. You might even have another pillow you sit on, or perhaps you have pillows in front of you to rest under your knee joint. Staff pose is simply extending your legs towards the front of the room, pressing your ankles into the mat or the floor, and the toes reaching for the ceiling. So you do want your hips to be the highest point of your body, even if there's a little bit of a downward slope, with the pillows being underneath you to give that lift. What that does is that helps avoid any tendency to round the spine to get the body forward. So you want the hips to be tipped a bit forward so that the stretch can start in the low back and the hamstrings, rather than overstressing the low back. So we want to actually sit up totally straight here, and then look for your mental state here. How does this feel to you? Resting the hands on your legs. Staff pose is a strong full body pose of teachability, proper alignment, which means the whole body is engaged, but not over engaged. So God, would you help us know what we are to manage and what we are to give back to you? So the work is light and we're obedient. How does that look? Feel your breathing. It's so good. It's so good to listen and take that space. So here I'm going to ask you, if you want to, you could flow. So you could lift the hips a little bit and stretch back, and then rock the body forward into a fold, or you could simply stay in a fold. See what feels good to you. It'll give you about a minute of play time to rock, or to simply settle in a fold, or back bend even if you want. Let the movement be extremely slow if you are rocking. And it doesn't have to be straight forward and back. It could be like to the side. and just listening to what would you have me do, God? And slowly bring ourselves back to staff pose if you were rocking or if you had settled into a stretch. And the next pose will be called hero's pose, which is sitting on your feet. So that's not going to be appropriate for everyone if your knees are really sensitive. You might find your way back into simple seated pose or a stretch of your choosing that's seated. So if you are open to sitting on your feet, I want to offer the props of putting a pillow or two underneath your bum so that you have some padding that also creates a smaller or a larger angle, so it's less compression on the knee joint. And if that hurts the bottom of your knee at all, you could also put a pillow underneath. But it's good to stretch the knees. This is also a stretch, or can be a stretch for the tops of the thighs, the quads. And for some of you, maybe you can rock back a little bit, see how that feels. Hero's pose. So this is one of the poses that really embodies another sense of very teachable, as well as presenting exactly what is. So getting very honest with where you're at. So where are you at? Taking a few moments now to reconsider or consider, where am I at in regards to teachability? Am I able to take instruction, or do I become hypersensitive, judgmental, and nasty if I have to change course at all? So be honest and be very kind. All answers are acceptable. So you're just going to close your eyes here and then ask yourself, would you like to look up here or look down? And just breathe. Where am I at with being teachable? And if the words or answers that come to your mind are not what you want to hear, a good follow-up question is, I'm going to love you wherever you're at. Or that's not a question, that's more of a stance. And Jesus promises to do that for us. And you see it all over the Bible of him doing it for people. So why wouldn't he do that for you, wherever you're at? You don't hide or lie about it. That's totally counterproductive. Just want to be honest. Where are you at? Teachability. And if, again, you don't like the answer, you just say out loud, maybe, Jesus, help me with that. How do I change that? Really relaxing the shoulders and relax even the elbow joints so that you feel almost as if there's a openness of the heart naturally created. The collarbones Head towards the side of the room. Little lift of the heart. Take a couple more breaths in hero's pose. And then to come out of this, the first thing I'll do is just sort of reach forward so that your hands are going to be around. I'm going to turn to the side. I'm coming into like a crawling position, really low. Obviously, this whole practice is low. Palms on the ground here. You might be inclined to rotate into the ankles or point and flex through the foot. You might even feel good about reaching one leg back, stretching the back of the knee. Just move slowly. And then I'll invite you to practice cow-cat position, which is where you just tilt your pelvis towards your belly button and then tuck your head in towards yourself. That's cat. And then tip your pelvis back so your tailbone to sky and then your head to sky, and this is cow. So flow through, so continual movement through both positions. Always orienting towards pleasure in your mindfulness experience, what feels good. And as you orient more towards pleasure in the body mind, you become more aware of its continual flow towards you and it's happening. All right, so we'll move into our final body position, which is going to be a wide-legged straddle. To prepare for that, I'm going to just take my hips down, extend both legs in front of us again, or just like staff pose, because this is going to vary quite a bit for all people. You have the pillows that you might want to take underneath your knees for the straddle position. And again, you might want to sit on a pillow or a bolster or a blanket to lift the hips up. Again, what that does is it might tip you a little bit forward so that you can get the stretch into the low back and hips. Okay, so from here, you might stay here. And if you're, some people are going to be here too, depending on the tightness of the groin muscles. And there's no right or wrong. Of course, you are what you are right now. But I would encourage slow rocking, or like sauntering around with the upper body. A lot of times there is a tendency to just sort of find it and be like, brace yourself, like you're about to be attacked. And you want to encourage sort of a slow unfolding. And a good way to do that is by rocking very slowly towards the appropriate amount of sensation. That's experimental. So where can you go? Might feel good here. And while you're experimenting, I'm going to read from the 12 and 12. This is a book that was written in the 50s. So about 15 years or so after the 15 years or so after the original Alcoholics Anonymous book, also nicknamed The Big Book. This is another book for recovery that is been very helpful for me. And this is about step 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Who cares to admit complete defeat? Practically no one, of course. Every natural instinct cries out against the idea of personal powerlessness. It's truly awful to admit that, glass in hand, we've warped our minds into such an obsession for destructive drinking that only an act of providence can remove it from us. But upon entering AA, we soon take quite another view of this absolute humiliation. We perceive that only through utter defeat are we able to take our first steps toward liberation and strength. Our admission of personal powerlessness finally turns out to be firm bedrock upon which happy and purposeful lives may be built. The principle that we shall find no enduring strength until we first admit complete defeat is the main taproot from which our whole society has sprung and flowered. So what if admitting defeat isn't so bad, or admitting powerlessness or unmanageability? What if that's actually very helpful? So that's the thought. And now I want you to find a moment of full body stretch here, a little bit deeper. So focus on a little bit of a deeper stretch, and you don't have to stay still, but you don't want to move very much. Maybe you close the eyes, relax the head weight down. Little ways you can change the feeling of the stretch is pushing kind of into the feet and kind of reaching a little bit of the hips back, which is just walking them back. How is your breathing? Could you encourage a fuller, deeper breath? I'm going to walk you through a breathing exercise. We'll do it 6 times. It will be simply this: 4 seconds of an inhale, 2 seconds to hold the inhale, and a 6-second exhale. So participate if you like. Emptying the lungs first to prepare. So exhale. And here we go, round 1 of 6. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2. Exhale out the mouth. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wait. Again, we go inhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold the breath. 1, 2. Open mouth. Exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and wait. Again, we go inhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold the breath. 1, 2. Exhale out the mouth. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We wait. Round 4 of 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 1, 2. Exhale out the mouth. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wait. 2 more. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 1, 2. Exhale out the mouth. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wait. Last round. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 1, 2. Exhale out the mouth. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Going back to your normal breathing pattern, if the feet were engaged at all, relax the feet completely. Drop your weight a little bit in a different place, maybe forward. And I'm going to read a Bible passage from John. John is one of the Gospels of the Bible, which means it's the story of the life of Jesus. This particular Gospel was written originally in Greek. When the Holy Spirit is referred to in Greek, it is neuter, meaning it doesn't have a gender. In Hebrew and Aramaic, other languages of the Bible, way before English, the pronoun of the Holy Spirit was feminine. So I'm going to read it in the feminine in that context. So knowing that the original was neuter, but the Hebrew and Aramaic were feminine. So it seems more accurate to me to say it in the feminine. So that's the context. Please relax the body and just see how these words feel for you, whatever your belief is. John 14. She will give you another comforter, and she will never leave you. She is the Holy Spirit, the Spirit who leads into all truth. The world at large cannot receive her, for it isn't looking for her and doesn't negotiate or recognize her. But you do, for she lives in you now. Is there anything else that gives you power? I want you to consider how those words felt for you. If you're a believer, did that feel good? If you're not sure, or maybe you're against belief altogether, that's totally fine. But how does it feel? That's more the question. Like, does it feel true? I'll read it again, relax, and then we'll close here. John 14, 15 says, she will give you another comforter. So something outside of you has power, is the idea. She'll give you another comforter, and it's a good thing. She will never leave you. She's the Holy Spirit, the Spirit who leads into all truth. The world at large cannot receive her, for it isn't looking for her and doesn't recognize her. But you do, for she lives in you now. So bringing yourself back out of the stretch by pawing your way towards your hips and then taking your outer hands towards your knees, pulling your feet together, crossing your legs, ankles on feet towards the hip bowl, relaxing your hands, stretch it up, open, willing, and honest. Willing to see things as they are, not as you'd have them or distort them, but like as they are. Do you want to see clearly? That's the first step. Taking your hands to your heart, wherever you're at, I honor you, I respect you. I hope you have a wonderful day, night, or morning. Spirit in me bows to the Spirit in you.